Welcome back to A Concept You, the podcast, where we explore creativity, intentional living, and self-expression. I'm your host, Michaela Ayana. Welcome to the playground. This week on A Concept You, we are exploring what it means to hear the call and still hesitate. Not because we don't care, but because we are tired or unsure of how to answer the call without losing ourselves in the process. By the end of this episode, you'll hear a reflection on the difference between avoidance and rest, and hopefully you can use this episode as an invitation to really honor the pace in the space that you are currently in while staying in relationship to what matters most for you. So let's get into today's episode. I first want to start off by taking a moment to breathe. I think already with how I'm feeling this week, or how I have been feeling this week, I have been in a space of really trying to honor the pace that I am in, even if I am moving slower than other people expect me to. Being true to yourself, being true to what matters most to you, requires moving at your own speed, and sometimes that speed is just not fast enough for other people, but that doesn't mean that it's wrong. That doesn't mean that the path that you're on is incorrect. It just means that they're not operating at the same pace that you are. And I think that's something that I have spent a little bit of time journaling on this week, a little bit of time meditating on, and really considering why I feel this urgency that may not actually be mine, but more so this urgency that's being put on me from other people's expectations, from my responsibilities. And of course, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you can't do things in a timely manner or that you should avoid your responsibilities or getting things done on time. But I do think when it comes to listening to what keeps calling you, I know we talked about this in the last episode a little bit, there is a pace that you move at that is not ever going to be matched with someone else because you're on your own journey. You're on your own recovery journey. This is what I want to spend some time talking on today, just because I feel like even in preparing for this episode, I have felt very all over the place, but I feel very connected to this space, to the value that I bring to this space, what I am looking to achieve and get out of A Concept You. So in our last episode, episode 31, listening for what keeps calling you back, we talked a little bit about being open to receiving, returning to ourselves in the way of burnout recovery. We talked a little bit about listening to your calling and understanding that you have to move at your own timing in order to truly listen to what continues to call you back. So this week, I want to focus on what it looks like answering that call, even when you're at your most exhausted, when you're your most tired state. Because even in those moments where things seem to move a little bit more slowly, or where you don't have as much energy or time to put as much work and effort as it requires to move your process along, there is something I've been hearing a lot lately where you should focus on being 1% better. What can I do today that is going to make me feel 1% better for tomorrow? And I feel like the way I think about this is giving whatever your 100% looks like today. Giving whatever your full energy looks like today. Maybe not 100%. So if today I can only give 10% of my energy towards answering my calling, or towards pouring into myself, or towards self-love, self-care, then that's what you can give. If tomorrow your energy is at 50%, that's what you can give. If Saturday your energy is at 100%, That's what you can give. Meet yourself continuously where you are at, even if where you are at is in a resting phase. And I think that that's something I've had to really lean on lately in my own process of becoming, is giving myself the time to rest so that my burnout and my body won't do it for me. If I know that I have a very busy week ahead, I am unapologetically taking time in the evenings to pour into myself. I am taking space to deconnect, to disconnect, to decompress, to really think about, okay, what in this moment is going to make me feel full? Where can I call my energy back from? And if in that moment that looks like sitting on the couch and watching a good movie, I'm going to do that. If that looks like calling one of my friends or talking to my mom, I'm going to do that. If that looks like pulling out my collage materials and old magazines and throwing something together, I'm going to do that. If that looks like editing this podcast, I'm going to do that. Whatever I need in the moment to allow myself to rest, I have been trying to listen to that as much as possible, because that is a part of the becoming. The space that you give yourself to rest is a part of the becoming. Honestly, it's probably one of the most important parts, because that is the time that you recover, that you recalibrate, that if you realize things are not going a certain way in your rest, you are planning, you are, and not all the time isn't an active plan. Sometimes it's simply being in your restful state, and you're not even thinking about what you have to do, and then all of a sudden you get an idea of, oh, maybe I'll try it this way, or maybe this is something that I can do instead. When those sparks of intuition, imagination, of inspiration come to you, take them, grasp at them as hard as you can. Whatever calls us back will continue to call us even in our rest. And I think that I was in a space a couple months ago where I felt like, okay, nothing is really working right now. I cannot figure out what the answer is. I'm tired of making decisions. I'm having decision fatigue. I feel overwhelmed deep down. I have been stretched to my possible end. And I feel like in this journey of returning to myself and this journey of burnout recovery, what has been most important for me is giving myself that time and space to rest, because that is what builds resilience. That is the time that I'm able to reflect, to really be with myself and think through what is working, what is not working, where are the areas that I can change, that I can alter, that I can tweak, and try again. And I realized that when I have these moments of inspiration, of ideas, that a lot of times they come when I am in a restful state. So whether I am practicing yoga, or I am sitting and meditating, or I'm journaling, the thoughts, the ideas, the things that I may be frustrated on or stuck on, or have been praying to God that, hey, I need help moving past this, or I need help unblocking this barrier in my life. Whenever I ask, whenever I meditate on the things that I require, that I need, the answers always come in the moments where I am fully rested, where I can actually take what I'm hearing, what I'm experiencing, what I'm feeling called to do, and take some sort of action on that. So that is the reminder for today, to continue to listen to what calls you, even when you are in your moments of rest. It is okay to spend time pausing, to spend time recollecting yourself, because that's a part of the journey. We're going to have to return to ourselves over and over again. We're going to find ourselves. We're going to sit in that. We're going to be content. We're going to go through something. We're going to lose ourselves again. And then that journey, that cycle will start over and over again. That is what growth looks like. That is what it means to evolve, to continuously change and adapt to our surroundings, to our circumstances, but trust that we are being guided in the best way possible. And I think that is very scary to listen to trust, to rely on. But I think it's also very necessary to get out of our own heads, to get out of our own ways, honestly, and believe that there is greater for us. There is a purpose for us. We are here for a reason. My value is more than I can even comprehend. And these are the things that I have had to tell myself and make sure that I believe it first and foremost for myself rather than getting that externally, because I just needed to remind myself who I was. In my most burnt out, I forgot about that. I forgot about the confidence that I carry. My friend actually the other day sent me this quote from someone who, I can't remember exactly what they said, but it was something along the lines of, how crazy is it that you can walk into rooms and not even realize the impact that you have on other people. And it just really warmed my heart because I felt like my light had been dimmed for quite a while. It hasn't been until the last couple of weeks where I finally feel like that light is returning, that I feel like I have been doing the work to bring back my fire. And now my job, now my responsibility is to maintain that fire. And the way to do that is to rest and to pause and to breathe, to recover, and let the lessons that I'm consistently learning on a day-to-day basis actually breathe. Give myself the time to learn and be able to apply the things that I am learning in my life in real time. I feel like this has been a moment, or a couple of moments of rapid growth, but I feel like a lot of that growth has been because I am allowing myself to trust in the unknown. I'm allowing myself to not have all of the answers and be content, be comfortable in not knowing everything. So that is what I'm leaving you with today. The reminder to answer the call, even if you were answering that call imperfectly. To answer the call, even if you're showing up late, even if you're showing up messy, even if you're showing up unsure. To answer the call in whatever you do, wherever you are at, to meet yourself in that space. So, yeah. Today's episode was pretty quick. I feel like that's the message that I needed to hear for myself and wanted to share with you all. So if you've made it this far, thank you as always for being here, and I am excited to see you in our next episode. Bye. As we wrap up today's episode, I want you to think about what is calling you back now that you are too tired to respond to. How can slowing down your pace and rest be a form of listening? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of A Concept You, the podcast. If this episode resonated with you, share it with your loved ones. For more, connect with us on Instagram at aconceptyou or visit michaelacreates.com/ACY. Until next time, take care.